So here we are at the border. Filled out all the requirements, but so-and-so didn't like the way that we did it. The border guard. So now they've taken our passports, and we've been here for almost an hour. A 6-week-old baby who was crying, needed to be fed. And we're waiting for them to call public health. It's currently almost 3 in the morning, and they're not giving us any updates, and they're not giving us back our passports, so we can't. Last night we arrived from our LifeSite conference. I was in Florida. I had all the documentation I needed. I filled out the ArriveCan thing, which is I didn't get the app. You can fill it out without doing the app. You can go to the website. You can literally just print paper off. I know there's been a lot of viral videos about, people being denied entry because they don't have the app and so forth. I don't know what happens in those situations, but you can just fill out the information on a browser and you can print it off, okay? And just fill out whatever your information is. So there are multiple ways to be let into the country as an unvaccinated Canadian. I won't explain what my reasoning was or what my requirements were that I fulfilled, but you can have medical exemptions, you can have approved religious or conscience objections, you can have objections of or reasons of compassion reasons, visiting a loved one or something, and you can also you can present a proof that you have tested positive on a molecular test, so one of those PCR tests. You can present all these options. I won't explain which one I have, but just for the sake of conversation, I have one of those requirements fulfilled, okay? And I have documentation for that. We get to the border at 2 in the morning, 1:45 in the morning, in the Windsor Tunnel. My 6-week-old baby is screaming her head off in the back of the car. She's hungry. She wants to go to bed. She's been traveling. And we encounter the border guard who he's one of those guys, it seems like he probably wanted to be a police officer, wasn't able to do that, so he became a border guard and wants to make people's lives a living hell. In any case, he did not like our documents. He did not think they were good enough. He made that very clear. So he then started asking a lot of questions. I answered all the questions. Nothing to hide. I had no infractions for customs. He did the whole customs search, have you been to a farm? Have you brought back alcohol or tobacco? None of that. I had nothing. I mean, we went to a work conference. We were there for about 48 hours. I never left the hotel. All I had was like some trinkets that LifeSite gave us. I got a t-shirt and some mugs and things, nothing. Now here's how Canadian law works. Even in our Trudeaupian tyrannical communist country, they are still respecting the separation of jurisdictions. So customs does not handle health. Customs handles entry requirements. Okay? This is why Canadians fill out the ArriveCan information if they choose to. That is what you present to customs. If customs does not think that your ArriveCan information or documentation that you provided to support your ArriveCan information, if they don't think that that's adequate, they don't make a judgment call on whether or not it's adequate. They send you to public health, who then is supposed to make a judgment call. Once the customs agent, the border guard, has decided that you do not have any customs infractions, so you're not carrying any firearms, breaking one of those rules, then you're done. They are required to give you your documentation back, and they say, please go talk to public health, and you are allowed to say to them, I don't want to, and then the border guard can say, that's fine, you're not being detained. This is all in federal legislation. You're not being detained, but just so you know, public health may visit you and they could fine you. I knew that I had not broken any rules. I study this for a living as a journalist for LifeSite News. I know the rules front and back. I knew it way better than him because I kept showing him screenshots from the literal travel.gc.ca or whatever the website is, traveling, I showed him all the information. I showed him how I filled it all out. And he kept saying, oh, well, it's not there. You got to read the Quarantine Act. No, you don't. You don't have to read. You do not have to read legislation as a Canadian to enter your country. You have to fulfill the entry requirements, which are listed on the travel website. Anyway, he would not give us back our passport. He said, you're free to leave without your passport if you want. Major illegal. These leftists need to understand that cancel culture goes both ways. If you're going to break the law and unjustly detain a Canadian citizen who's committed no infraction, then you need to lose your job because you're a criminal. So after this, he sends us over to public health. He would not give us our passports. I cannot stress this enough. He would not give us back our passports. That is completely illegal. His justification was, well, it's the middle of the night. It was 2 a.m. No one from public health is working here. So what they have are municipal police officers who sit in the public health office. Meanwhile, the baby's screaming. And he wouldn't let us go. Anyway, because there's no public health person working at that time, they have police officers who literally just sit in an office and probably surf the internet because nothing's happening. And they were nice guys, but they're just police officers for the city. They are not public health officials. They are not federal employees. They're not even provincial employees. They are police officers for the city of Windsor, Ontario. Municipal police officers. That's all. They have no jurisdiction over public health. They're basically a go-between. Excuse me. So we get to this spot. The police officer comes out to us and he says, can I have your documentation? Meaning, can I have your identification, passport, things you presented to the border? I said, he didn't give that back to us. Immediately, the guy's face changed and he went, oh. He wasn't going to throw him under the bus. Obviously, they're all kind of officers and they're trying to support each other. And he didn't know what to do. Okay, I'm going to go talk to him. You know why he said that? Because he knew that what was happening was illegal. You are not allowed to take somebody's documentation as a customs officer when they and keep it when they have not committed a customs infraction. Now, the justification that the customs officer gave to me was, well, they need to verify your information, so that's why they're keeping your passport. And I said, no, this is not a federal matter. He can ask for my driver's license because he's a municipal police officer. And because this is now a matter of public health, I have to willingly assent to this. And if I choose not to, which is my choice, I could just leave, and that's the law. That's the law as much as any law in the country. And the municipal police officer said that to me. He says, yeah, you can leave if you want. They just might send a police officer to your house or a public health official, whatever. I knew I had committed no infractions. I wasn't worried about that. Eventually, the supervisor comes out. This guy had put his colleagues in a very bad position because what he did was illegal. So I made it very clear to them that I was a journalist. When I made it clear that I was a journalist, out comes a supervisor and says to me, and I quote, the last thing we need is for this to get to the media. We could be suspended. Why? Why would they be suspended? If they were doing everything right, why would they be suspended? She did not know who I worked for. After she says that, she basically came out to try to diffuse the situation. He actually started yelling at us, and he walked away and slammed the door and said, I can't deal with these people. He was a real mature fella. And the lady was mortified because she is the supervisor. She knows that what he did was illegal. So basically, she, goes inside. What happens when they go inside? Well, we can see through the window. I have no proof of this. This is my speculation. As God is my witness, I can't say, swear on my grave or whatever. I can't do that. But they asked what I did for a living, or it came out through the conversation. I said as a journalist, I go in, all of a sudden they take out their phones, and one of them sits down at a computer, and they start looking things up. Were they Googling me? I have no idea. I would think they were, because she made it very clear that, oh, you're a journalist, the last thing we need to have is this to go to the media. So we sit there for about another 15 minutes. We're bouncing the baby because she needs to be soothed, and we need to go. We have a 2.5-hour drive home. We didn't get home till 6 a.m. We were supposed to be home at 4. I say, can I go now? Can I have my passport? They still hadn't given me back my passport. The municipal police officer would not give me my passport. That was detained from me after it was decided by the customs officer that I had not committed a customs infraction, wherein he is required to give me my passport back, because everything after that is voluntary, like I said. The supervisor comes out frantic. It's your lucky day. Yeah, there's an error in the system. We can't scan these things right now. Yeah, you're a journalist? Seriously, it goes back to the journalist. You're a journalist? Next time you come, you can call this number. Journalists can call this number, get all the information they need, and, you have a great day. And yeah, see you later. No problem. So, I was not told to quarantine. I was not told I had to do anything. I knew that was going to happen because I had the information to make that the case. And all of a sudden, when it was found out that I was a journalist, and they probably Googled who I worked for and what I do for a living, it was clear that you can go. Now, what's the moral of the story? He broke the law, this border guard. He's like, if you think of a cop movie or a cop show, he's like the guy, if he's a police officer, who starts, beating the guy with a phone book. And he's like, don't worry, we'll just pretend he had drugs on him or something like that. And his partner's like, what on earth are you doing, you lunatic? Like, you can't do this. That's the way he was acting. And there's a reason why the supervisor was terrified of it going to the media. The moral of the story here is, though, you can come and go from Canada if you're unvaccinated. There are ways to do it. You need to know your rights, and you can do it without getting fined. You can do it without getting quarantined. There are numerous ways to do so. Check out the website for that. I did that. That's why I knew I was fine. Also, the rule of law still matters in Canada. All that happens is that these wannabe rent-a-cops try to intimidate you, and they throw out a lot of scary words. He kept saying to me, well, based on the Quarantine Act, based on this amendment, it was all nonsense. Well, you might get fined for this. No, I knew I wasn't going to get fined. I knew what I was doing was fine. I knew that I was not going to get fined. I knew that I was not going to be detained, because I know the law as a Canadian. We don't live in a full-blown tyrannical government in Canada. We live in a soft tyranny. What I mean by that is it's based off of pressure. It's based off of ignorance. They say scary things like, you're going to get fined. If you know the law, you know you're not going to get fined. If you know your rights as a Canadian, you will beat the system, because the system still technically works for you no matter how much they make it look insane. Last thing I'll say. Cancel culture has to go both ways. Now, I would never go after somebody for their religious beliefs. I would never do what the left does with cancel, none of that. But this man has a badge. He works in the public. He is paid by the federal government, which I pay for with my salary. And he broke the law. And he is putting Canadians at risk because of his behavior. And he is undermining, as a patriot here, I want to trust my government. I want to believe that the people in government are not evil lizard people. He is undermining international and national trust in the security and legal framework of our nation. And he needs to be reprimanded for this. You need to know your rights and do not bend the knee to these idiots who think that they're G.I. Joe and they can ruin your life over a COVID test. Canadians have rights. They can come and go from this country. Read the ArriveCan website. Read the travel website. Read every tab. Take 30 minutes. Excuse me. Read it. Take your screenshots. Know what you need. Provide what it requires of you. And they can huff and puff and try to blow the house down, although it's tough through the masks. Oh, by the way, he didn't wear his mask for the first part. That's actually an infraction. Federal employees are supposed to wear them when they're within 6 feet of people. Anyway, end of rant. So, like the video, subscribe to this channel. Last thing I'll say, write your members of parliament. And if you want to know, go in the comments. I'll try to give a link how to do that. All right. This has been the Kennedy Report. Until next time, God bless.